What's up, guys? How are you guys doing? Welcome to Wedding Film School Show live. I'm gonna turn this music down a smidge. I'm excited. Thank you, Josh. Josh gave me some water. This is my Create mug. I'm excited today because we got 3 great films for you that we're going to be reviewing. And I also got my friend Jared here. Let me put him up.
What's up, dudes and dudettes?
How you doing, Jared?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a while since I've been on WFS Live, so glad to be back. It's been crazy couple months, and excited to kind of get back in the saddle now that things are starting to wind down.
Oh my goodness,
it's fun.
Yeah, It is fun. It's great. It's great. And I hopefully if you're watching this, you're either a wedding filmmaker or you're getting started in wedding filmmaking. We love that, by the way. If you are not a wedding filmmaker and you're watching this show, drop something in the comments. Hit like. We want to see that. If you're new to wedding filmmaking, the reason we kind of do this stuff, guys, is for us, we look at this and we think, hey, one of the best ways to improve and to grow and to get better at something is to have, that's Rich Ferry calling me, by the way, is to have just critique and to hear feedback from other people in the industry. And there's people in this chat that are amazing. We got Kyle, we got Max, we got a bunch of people. We got Jared, who's okay, myself, who's slightly above average. And we want to help you grow. So here's kind of the format of the show, Jared. Basically, we like to watch a film. We like to give a round of feedback of what we loved about the film, things that we think you did well, and then a quick round of feedback where there's some things maybe we think you could improve on. And that's really our goal, is helping you go to the next level. So we try to critique films based on where the filmmaker is in their career, not just based on what we would do or someone who maybe our favorite filmmaker is. We want people to hear feedback that they can apply and immediately put in their next wedding that they're shooting or editing. And the other thing is, this is our opinion. We're not the experts, right, Jared? So for us, it's our opinion. So if you're watching this and you're like, they're wrong, or, we might be wrong. There might be things that we say that you think are fine about the films. And if you submitted a film and we give you critique, hey, listen, part of the whole thing is you got to know when to stick to your guns. So we're going to do our best, but at the end of the day, this is just our opinion. And so, yeah, anyway, do you want to get right into the films?
Yeah, let's do it, man. And you've watched these films. This is my first time kind of looking at them, so this is a fresh take from myself. But Jason usually has to watch them to be able to capture them and have them in high quality. So he has a couple things that he wants to dive into. But for me, this is a freshie. I think there's a couple different ways we could do these reviews, but that's kind of the way.
Yeah, for the most part, guys, we're gonna just watch the full film. These are films we try to do 5 minutes and under. But for the most part, we're gonna watch the whole film. And in general, there might be some places where we skip around a little bit if they're a little longer. But in general, we try to do 5 minutes. If you would like to submit, I'm gonna go ahead and put the submission link in there. And if you would like to submit for next week's show, we always try to encourage people. Maybe do it when we get the email or if you're in the group, maybe that's the best way. But here's a submission link for future people right here. And I'm going to go ahead and pin that at the top. But anyway, our first filmmaker, let's look at that. I got to pull up the spreadsheet. Stall, Jared. Stall while I'm pulling up a spreadsheet.
I have it in front of me if you want me to take it away.
Yeah. Take the
cool.
Who's our first filmmaker?
All right, first filmmaker is going to be Asolis Films. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Solus. I like
Solus. Okay.
I don't know.
Yep, we have a film from them, and I believe they've submitted in the past. I believe even I've watched some of their films. Tell us about the film. This is my 10th wedding. I've been doing it as a side gig, but want to focus on making it more of an established business. I shot this with a couple A7S IIIs and a couple of shots I used on the iPhone 12 with the phone gimbal. I'm a solo shooter with an assistant. For future weddings, I finally purchased
if we can catch that phone shot, Jared.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, so using the Aperture 60X, fan favorite over here at Wedding Film School. Yeah, and then let's see, brief explanation of what the client purchased. For this wedding, I gave them a highlight and a 45-minute linear edit. Wow, props to you, man. And a separate ceremony edit for $2,200. I really want to improve my work to raise my prices. So all constructive criticism is welcome. I'm based in L.A.
Yikes, L.A., man.
$2,200 for L.A., that's, starting pricing.
Anyway, so here's the film. We're going to watch the film. And, yeah, I got some stuff I've already... hey, what's up, man? Super excited to have you on there. I didn't want to try to say your name, Araceli. If I got it wrong, let me know. But anyway, here's the film.
To my wife and best friend, if you would have told me 6 years ago that we would be here at a vineyard getting married
Did I
in
pick
front
the
of
wrong
our
one?
guests and friends.
I was gonna say for LA, this looks awfully New England EJ.
Oh, is it modern? I think this is why I wanted to read it, Jared.
Oh.
Which one did?
The first one is the one I.
What's the name? Oh,
read.
man.
Is it Modern Love? Is that what you have pulled up?
No. I could do Modern Love though. I have that one.
That's what
we were supposed to do.
Oh, we're supposed to do Modern Love.
I'm asking you.
The first one that we did was Acilis Films.
All right. Let me pull up what we got. I'm going to keep going. Let's do the next
one that you had pulled up right there was Modern Love.
No, this is Modern Love right here.
This is Modern Love. Okay.
And the next one is I'll fix that one. We'll get your film up there. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
So the next one is Brandon Rice, correct?
The second one is Modern Love. The third one is Brandon Rice.
All right, let's do Modern Love.
Okay.
My bad. Moving on. All right, so tell us about Modern Love Films.
Okay, so Modern Love Films, filmed on Sony A7S IIIs, a Canon 1DX, a C200 for the ceremony. The couple was very warm, happy, and overall it was a good day. We started a few minutes before the first look. Therefore, we have very few prep shots and no prep details or flat lays. We struggled a little with white balance here and there, but are still trying to figure out the best coloring to use for the Canon Sony cameras. Be nice in your review. Thanks so much. I agree. The Canon Sony mix can be challenging. Brief explanation, 2 videographers, 9 hours, 5 to 6 minute highlight, and the ceremony edit. And no price given. So.
No price given.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Link to pricing at $5,500 for this film.
Okay, so we did this film before. I was not nice to this filmmaker. I was honest, and I don't, like I said, I don't really apologize for being honest, but I do want people to not feel discouraged, and I actually thought their film was very good, and so I'm excited to watch this film because I want to see where they've gone from the last time we talked. So here we go, Modern Love. Yep, the audio's off. I'm really screwing up today. Believe it or not, this is really hard to run this production and to be a host, guys.
Wow, Adam, I can't believe the big day is finally here. My best friend, my person. You see, it's been 580 days since we got engaged. Yes, I counted. In that time, we've been through a lot.
We have experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, providing the necessary comfort and support to get each other through each and every challenge. So much in our book of love is unwritten, and I cannot wait to write the next chapter with you.
This is a really nice color. I like a lot of it.
Skeptical when Brett said Adam was the one for her. Who is this guy? Soon after COVID hit, Adam and Brett moved in with us on Ginger Circle in Weston for a couple of months. Adam passed the test. After that, we knew they were made.
How many times have you heard that exact story in weddings this year, Jared? People moved in together during COVID. Parents decided they liked them. Then I feel like it's like every bride, every single dad at every wedding I've been at this year has had a moved in with the family COVID story.
Definitely.
It's such a weird, unique sign of the times.
Yeah. We had a lot of people move from New York to New England and live with their parents, actually.
Yeah, and it's like it's the reason they got married in New England. It's really interesting because it's affected the economy, the local wedding economy, in like a really weird way.
Yep.
Anyway, weird. So, but look, looks good.
For each other. Brett, the director, when you told us Adam was the man for you, you were right. And now we see that the two of you make each other so happy. You guys are the yin and yang of each other.
When we started planning this ceremony, Cancer Debbie told me to write down 3 things I love about you. Besides for the obvious, your good looks, your sharp wit, I found this to be an impossible task. How can I summarize the man I love in 3 measly adjectives? Because the only thing I love more than the sound of my own voice is you, Adam Heiligers.
The ketubah hangs in a conspicuous place in their home. They are always reminded of this moment. They are reminded of the love that they share, why they chose each other, and the promises made today.
Let's raise our glasses and toast Mr. and Mrs. Heiliger.
I know in my heart that you will go on to live a wonderful and fulfilling life together. Your happiness will be infectious to the family.
That's not to say I did not learn anything these past 4.5 years. So I will keep the following notes in mind as we continue our journey. 1, you may not always be right, but you are never wrong. 2, your money is your money, and my money is our money. Even though I purchased the mattress before I knew you, it is 7/8 yours and 1/8 mine.
As you begin your life as husband and wife, take care of each other and hug each other often. Life will be happy and yet full of challenges, but it will be beautiful because you will cross all those hurdles with hearts full of love for each other.
Oh, you look very dapper, Daddy Al.
Your beauty, independence, motivation, and work ethic, care for others, and sense of humor have always and continue to amaze me. One of the greatest highlights of my day is making you laugh. We have so much to look forward to as we build a family and dance and laugh our way throughout life. I love you. Let's have the best night of our lives this far. We deserve it.
You make me feel important, you make me feel beautiful, and you make me proud to be unapologetically me. We couldn't have asked for a more gorgeous day. I know somehow, somewhere, we have your dad to thank for that. Goes without saying that he would be very proud of you today, and of course, he would be clapping along to your impeccable dance moves. Marry someone you can always laugh with. I've found these things and more with you, Adam. And I can't wait to be your wife, and I can't wait to see what's in store for us. Like I said before, just you and me.
All right, Jared. Good film. So, let's do like I said, we always like to do a round of what did we love and what did we think was great about the film, and then a round of things we think would help it level up. Modern Love, you guys are clearly skilled filmmakers, so our critiques might be a little more nitpicky than maybe someone else. But what did you love about the film?
Yeah, really good film. I really loved it. Clearly, you guys are pros. Two things I really liked about the film. The first thing was, and someone mentioned it in the comment, but use of ambient audio was really cool. And I felt like anytime you can...
It was tasteful, too.
...tastefully use ambient audio in the background, it just allows this connection to the film. Hearing human voice, whether it's, and human clapping and just the things that go on, it draws you in that much more.
Yeah.
Kanye West, Jason, as you know, has been in the news lately, but I heard
What about just his good music?
Oh, yeah. It's clearly bad music lately. But the thing that a lot of people, I was listening to a critique about his music years ago, and they were like, one thing that Kanye does really well often is he uses the human voice and uses a lot of human kind of sound making in his beats. In general, if you listen to a lot of his good music, I would say a lot of times that's incorporated. And so I don't know, it's something about like being connected to other humans.
Good wedding storytelling is about connecting you to. There's like the connections of the couple.
Yep.
There's the connections of a place, but then there's a like connection to the vibe.
Yeah.
And the day.
Totally. So whether it's using clapping and then using sound bites when you don't necessarily see what is actually happening. Like if people are clapping, you're not just showing people clapping. It allows these transitions from moment to moment that felt pretty seamless, and I think it was really masterfully done in this one.
And I will say, in terms of the choppiness, I'm hearing some comments. When you have quick cuts on the stream, sometimes it doesn't always do those that well. They don't look choppy in real life, the quick cuts in the film. It looks normal. So apologize for that. Not much we can do about it, but anywho.
Second thing I really loved about the film was their use of lighting, especially using lights during the reception, during the toast, during the dances. I thought it was pretty well done. And, I think you're someone who obviously knows what they're doing, like in that shot there.
See,
there's clearly a light right there, but then throughout the night, your background gets a little bit darker and your subject gets a little bit brighter. So I could tell it's something maybe you were working on. Even that day of tweaking and getting better over time. So I thought it was really nicely done. Clearly, you're thinking, you're a step ahead of a lot of wedding filmmakers where you're not just thinking about what your shot is, you're also thinking about how you're going to light those. So I think it was pretty well done. So those are two things that I picked up on, Jay.
I think one of the things I like in a filmmaker is when I can tell they know how to work a portrait session, and they're making connections, and they're making the bride and groom laugh and connect in a natural way, not in a weird way. And I could see that connection happening throughout, like a face like that. Now, maybe you did nothing. Maybe you just captured it. But like knowing that that's what people want to see in their film and not just people frozen like statues.
Right.
I think like you did a really good job pulling the couple's personality out and showing it. And it was well shot too. And I was going to say a lot of the natural light settings, especially in that portrait session and during the ceremony and like are really well handled and look really nice. Like that looks great. That looks great.
It's that Florida light, man. I mean, one of my favorite photographers, Austin Trenholm, is always posting these photos, and I'm like, dude, how do you get light that looks
even the backlight on those people right there? It's just
it's like
nice.
The orange and greens. It's like we cannot ever get something like that where we are.
I just love like those jungle backgrounds too.
Oh, it looks freaking dope.
And so I think it was good, and the story structure. This is. I don't want to say I love it because I don't really know how I feel about it. It's interesting. I noticed like the bride coming down the aisle was the culmination of the film, not like the middle or the turn. Like a lot of people use the bride coming down as the turn before hype, and they used it as their climax. And so I think that you took, I don't know if it's a risk, but you broke from the formula a little bit, wedding filmmaking, and I thought that was kind of nice that they were willing to kind of tell their own story in their own way. Lots of coverage too.
Yeah.
Like lots of coverage. Everything covered in a lot of different ways. Yeah, I mean, everything about the way you portrayed that bride and the groom too, but like you just pulled her personality out. She made the film and you captured that. So good job. So where do you think they can improve? Because I saw a couple things I think were, some are my opinions, some maybe are just objective things that can be improved. But what about you, Jared?
Well, one thing has to do with kind of what they brought up, trying to color match. I didn't notice that much of a difference between what you were mentioning, like the C200 and
the drone.
Your Sony. It was the drone. Yeah. Thank you for spoiling that.
Sorry,
Jay. But yeah, drone shots felt much cooler, much different. And that's hard. We deal with that on our end. I'm always like, dude, your color does not look the same as the rest of your film. I always tell our editors that too. So it's like, and that takes time because it's obviously a much different codec.
Well, the D-Log really wants to, you got to push that saturation.
It wants to stay flat forever.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And the color is wonky and that takes some work to get it perfect. But I mean, we just did a film, Jay, where I thought the drone matched the film really nicely.
I used the same. Well, I use the same conversion LUTs in the same family for all our cameras. Mm-hmm. So I use the Blackmagic Buttery conversion LUT to Rec 709 natural, the S-Log 3 conversion LUT Rec 709 natural, but also the same Buttery D-Log conversion LUT.
Mm-hmm. So didn't you also do some masking as well?
Well, I did masking to make it look cool, but I didn't use it to match the color. I will say, even after I put the LUTs on, though, Jared, I had to add more saturation to the D-Log to get it to match. And that's just looking at scopes, but also you're looking at your eyes. Like if I look at green in one shot and I look at green in the next, green is a really good tell, guys. Blues and greens, if the blues and greens don't match, usually, like these are very vibrant greens, and I'm looking at these, and then your greens and your drones and your blues, they're not pulling the same level of saturation. So that was a noticeable thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at some of the comments. Actually, before we get to comments, Jay, what did you pull out of the film? What are your critiques?
I actually felt different about the speeches as everyone else. Okay. I thought, I'll show you a great example. This shot is incredible, and you're breaking the 180-degree rule right away. So, like, they're looking, and so you're shooting shadow side, right?
Right.
Literally gorgeous looking. Amazing shot.
Yep.
And then you cut to the immediately following that shot.
She's looking left, they're looking left.
Yeah, and
so
it's
that
like,
just means one camera's on one side, one camera's on the other.
Yeah, which means you should have shot them both on the same side, and that shot would look way better shadow side.
Yeah, because she's bright on that
flat
side.
Looking. Yeah. Her nose is shiny. Like, it's less flattering.
It would have been nicer to shoot shadow side. I think it's not bad because the background is darker. So it's
not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's not bad. It's definitely way better than no light at all.
Right.
But it's breaking the 180-degree rule, definitely problematic for me. And then, of course, if you would have followed the 180-degree rule, the other reason to follow it in wedding filmmaking is it means you shoot both of them in the same light values and they look like they're in the same universe.
Yep.
Versus like she's talking in one totally different room and then the couple. So that was one thing I noticed is a lot of the speeches, I would have preferred them to be shot shadow side. And then I did notice there's a lot of, in the really bright sunlight areas, it looks like gimbal, a lot of it's overexposed. And then a lot of your shadows are really blue throughout, like on your indoor stuff. And so all this stuff can be fixed in post. I mean, I would say like if it's way, way off, you can't be. But I would say when you're looking at something like this, like when you're taking your last, like before you do color, get your stuff set up in like some kind of color space. I like to get all my stuff up to Rec 709. That's me personally. I know it's a little lazy, but it's what I do. And then make sure that they're all the same white values and the same black values and like just go throughout the whole film. But those are kind of little things, Jared. I do think this is a personal thing for me, Jared. I was talking to you before. For me, I'm not crazy about that much talking in a film. because I felt like I wanted the film to breathe a little more. Like I wanted to kind of like give me some, higher highs and lower lows. And it was like talk, 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 a little bit of music, talk, talk, talk. This is just me in terms of a vibe thing. That's not, I can't say that's a criticism, because I think I look at that and some people might feel totally different. The couple probably loved it. That's just me personally watching the film and think, what would make me more emotionally invested in a film like this would be give me a little more space.
No, I can agree too. We also talked a little bit about like what's necessary when you're including talking about who's speaking. Like, do you have to include as long of a speaking part from dad, or even from the bride and groom, when it's just like you're just doing it for the sake of it? Someone mentioned in the comment, I agree. Maybe it could have been a little bit shorter, because it felt like at times it's like, okay, it's starting to get a little bit draggy.
But I think if they would have cut some of the talking out,
yep, that's what I'm saying,
driven it,
yep,
I think it wouldn't have felt as dragging.
Yep. But that's a minor critique. I wouldn't say that really devalues a whole lot from what they did. I thought this film was really.
I mean,
done.
This is clearly,
especially for $5,500. People are asking how much it costs. $5,500, guys.
Yeah. I mean, you're delivering a top of market product.
Yep.
Excellent job. I mean, I have nothing but quality stuff. And by the way, we're gonna come back and get your film last. So I apologize about screwing up that play, but we are gonna come, Shaliz, back to your film after we do the next one for Brandon. So stay tuned.
I did just drop a video on that we did a while back about the lighting 180-degree rule. So if people are like wondering what the heck we're even talking about there, that one goes into depth, and it's a crazy video that we did. Hopefully
good wigs.
But it's like, that's for experienced filmmakers who are actually like, hey, how can I really level up my films? I would say the thing I really liked about Modern Love and
I like their name.
film was their composition.
Oh yeah, really
composition solid. Of their speeches, composition of their shots. It was really well done and really thought out. So in terms of camera movement, camera operation, I thought it was spot on. I think you could shoot with almost anyone out there. The only minor thing, I forgot about this. Only minor thing is the wideness of a lot of shots.
This is way too wide.
I wish it was a little bit tighter. One of my favorite filmmakers, Henry, all he used, the widest lens he always has is a 35 millimeter. And for him, it's like, I don't want to go any wider than that. And it's something that I always tell our team is like, do we really need to have a 16 millimeter, even like a 24 millimeter? Sometimes I just think it's too wide.
Well, I look at this shot and it's like the negative space is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also too blue.
Yep.
But anyway,
you're trying to combine, like with a shot like this, you're trying to combine two things. You're trying to combine your subject with your setting. And I think what filmmakers who have really mastered the craft do is like, I want one shot for one thing, one shot for the other thing.
Every shot,
like trying to combine two elements into a single shot.
A montage thing, right?
Versus setting. Yeah.
Yeah, in a montage, like every shot matters.
Yeah.
And so you can't try to over communicate.
Yeah. Your safe shot, like this is a safe shot. This is what I consider a safe shot, which on a day, like you want a safe shot for maybe like your ceremony or for, your
look how high that sun is
or whatever. But your safe shots during a portrait session, I would say really go for it. Try to get your beauty shots. Try to really get in there and get expression, on those shots. So that's probably my critique, is my only small critique of, composition and camera.
I mean, they're solid. They do good work.
Wicked solid.
So
totally.
Great job. Really appreciate your submission and just keep it up. Keep going. Keep grinding. A lot of people who watch films like this, if you're inspired by that, you should be. That's what I'll say.
Yee.
Yeah. So next is a friend of ours, Brandon Rice Films. Tell me about the film, Jared.
Brandon Rice. How are you doing, Brandon Rice? I haven't talked to you in a minute.
Hopefully he's here.
I don't think he is, but when he watches this, I want him to know. I miss you, buddy. Okay, so Brandon says, use the Panasonic S5 and GH6 for most of the shots. The difficult thing was that the planner who had recommended me and I was hired was fired by the couple. So I really didn't really ever get to know the couple or the vibe or anything. Plus, she specifically asked for not much audio in the film, which I typically use a lot, and a more upbeat vibe song, which isn't my norm. So this was a challenging one. So, yeah. And then in terms of brief explanation of what the client purchased a 5-minute film, which we're about to watch, ceremony film, speeches, dances film, and the raw footage. Total cost was $5,000.
All right. So Brandon's a experienced filmmaker, so we're going to be looking for kind of, did Brandon meet the brief that the couple described? That's part of the job, guys, is like if you're a wedding filmmaker, there are times you have to do things that a couple wants that maybe aren't your norm. So I love that when I was looking, I was like, I want to see, how did that go? And yeah, and also, just normal film critique. So here we go. He has an upbeat song, so yeah.
Kelsey was always right beside me when she was young, and she's probably only 4-year-old that knew part of her fractions, 9/16, 5/8, all the wrench sizes, because she would hand them to me. Days of high school, rolling around to bed and turn the shower on so she won't be late for school. If you've seen Kelsey, if Chris is in town or not in town, and his ringtone goes off on her phone, the world stops. She can be mid-conversation, and she can hear that, and she steps off so she can talk to him. And that's what love is.
That's what love is.
Your world just stops.
I love you. For a long time, you were just a dream and a prayer. And today, the Lord himself has answered that prayer.
I thank Jesus for the honor of being your wife, with our future as bright as the promises of God. I will love you, I will respect you, and I will care for you.
Chris and Kelsey, could you have exchanged vows and exchanged rings of marriage in front of family and friends in the spirit of the loving God? I pronounce you husband and wife. Christopher, you can kiss your brother.
This film has people with all awesome talking voices. You're Christian bride. The dad was awesome sounding.
Kelsey is very family oriented. She likes to stay close to Woodstock, close to home. When she told me that she kept driving to Mississippi, I kind of knew that, there was something there between Kelsey and Chris. And then it turned into San Diego. That's when I knew, Chris is really the one. And anything that can get her out of Woodstock, I think, it would be you, Chris. You're the only thing.
Chris has dated in the past, and anyone knows the dating history. It was, man, maybe you had a week and you got cut, right? So when he told me that he thought Kelsey was the one, I knew he was serious, because this is something he never, he does not take lightly.
Weddings do need more swords, Jared.
I've known Chris for 16 years, and so for you, Kelsey, he's a better man now that you're in his life than he was when he was with us, and that's just a credit to you. Just you two complement each other really well. We can see that in him, and I've known him for a long time. So please raise a glass with me. Here's to Chris and Kelsey. Cheers.
Two pieces of advice. Keep her fed. She has a hangry side. You don't want to see it. And always show her your unconditional love, because I can promise you that she will always show you the same in return.
Hold on a second. Chris Pelly just dropped some knowledge in the chat he literally just said, that's a Jewish tradition. Based on your comment of we need more suitors running in with swords to battle the groom or the bride, he said that's why the groom stands on the left side at Jewish ceremonies to fight off people with the sword.
Wow.
Is that true?
I've been to a lot of Jewish ceremonies. I knew that they stood on opposite sides, but I had no idea why.
Oh, if that is true, that just makes it. I think that should be all of our traditions.
But with guns. But with AK-47s.
No.
AR-50s.
So it's that kind of violence unacceptable. Only sword violence.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that is the coolest tradition.
Yeah. Well, the thing I appreciate about a good, ceremony that has a lot of, cultural stuff and religious things is it's so ceremonious. It's so everything means something.
Oh, I love the symbolism. And I'm symbolism for days, bro.
Yeah.
But regardless, I like swords, and definitely the idea of fighting off someone during your wedding. Like, if you killed two people on the altar who are trying to take your wife, you can hang that over her for the rest of your life. Like, honey, you might be mad at me today, but remember that time I killed two people to marry you?
So you definitely wouldn't have any ex-boyfriend problems moving forward.
No, I mean,
great.
You two complement each other so well and are truly a go-getter power couple. Your lives are full of amazing accomplishments, but the one we're celebrating tonight means something entirely different.
I would much rather have swords than sparklers. I'll say that.
Me too. If they all had swords right there, better.
Well, I'm tired of getting hit with sparklers.
Or having the bride's hair get set on fire.
Yeah, I think I get hit I'm like 6.5 feet tall, so I get hit with a sparkler at every sparkler.
The worst is that the planner is always like, see you guys.
Yeah, the planner's like, good luck with that sparkler send-off, you schmucks. Like,
oh, you don't want to run a bunch of drunk people holding fire?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Okay. We're kind of getting off track with this sword talk.
Sure.
Okay, so that's Brandon's film. What did you like about the film, Jared?
Yeah, so a couple specific things that I'm going to point out that are kind of just microcosms of the film. Brendan knows how to cover the events really well. I'm assuming he's shooting this by himself, shooting it solo, because I know him. He didn't put that in the description, but I know him in the way he rolls. During the ceremony, I think he had at least 4 cameras going, and each one looked really good. And that's hard to do when you're not manning each camera or having a person monitor each camera. He covered the bride side, covered the groom side. I really liked his wide shot for his ceremony. Showing
I like that wide shot a lot.
Oak tree.
Yeah.
After, bashing wide shots, here I am complimenting a good wide shot. But it's a good, well thought out wide shot.
Everything about it was part of the story.
Good composition, and the way he cropped it was nice. That shot right there, I was going to compliment specifically. And I don't think we do this enough, where if you are about to do a first look, he did this gimbal shot approaching the groom from behind, almost like it's from the bride's perspective, then immediately cut to the bride and him turning around and seeing each other. I thought that was a good cinematic decision, Brendan, that I really liked. I was like, well, I should do that shot every once in a while. Why have I never done that shot before? I more get the groom looking at the camera.
I think because we're just like, meh, first looks.
Probably, but it was a good cinematic decision.
Yeah, it looked good.
So those are two things I picked up on right away that I liked and thought were very intentional and very well done.
I thought there was a lot of nice foreground in the film. I actually think a lot of the gimbal work was really solid, especially when he was like using his wide shot on a gimbal to communicate the story of like some of like the gimbal moves on the dance floor where they're like doing silly dances and stuff. Like, you know, it felt very intentional, and I think that's a tough thing to do with gimbal. A lot of gimbal work is so freaking lazy. People are just like, gimbal, woo! And you're just like, why are you doing this? What are you trying to do? And I didn't feel like that at all with Brandon's work. I felt like it was a lot of intentionality throughout the whole film, and so that's great. I think, you know, for not knowing the couple, you wouldn't really know it. That being said, I don't know that they're necessarily like exploding with all this extra stuff you could have drawn out of them. But like, I got a sense like, okay, this is like a kind of conservative. He's a military guy. Like, I felt like I understood their relationship a little. Mm-hmm. He's a serial dater who dumps women very easily. There's just I felt like I got to know the couple, and so I felt like good job with that. And it was upbeat.
Yeah, it was
upbeat. So what are some things you think he could improve on?
So how long was this film? Do we have a time on that, Jay?
Yeah, it's like, 5:30.
So my critique isn't necessarily the length, but it was one song for the entire 5 minutes, right? So I'm assuming what he did, because most songs aren't 5 minutes.
Never.
I'm assuming what he did was he extended the chorus and kind of put it on replay, to extend the song. I just got so bored with the song. I think that I wish, and then it kind of goes with my other critique of it, which is just like, the film felt like it was mostly speaking. It didn't allow the song to keep on carrying the film and really elevate it to the point where you're like really vibing with the song and just like waiting for what's next. It kind of felt like, the music was just background noise, which is always my critique, where people are leaning towards speeches pretty heavily. So that's probably what I would say is like, I wish there was a second song that allowed it to be maybe, and that way you could start it off a little bit slower and then pick it up a little bit more. That's generally what we try to do in our films that are 5 to 6 minutes long. It's just two different songs. The music bed, all these places with subscriptions make that easy, because now you can just use as many songs in a film as you want. But that would probably be my main criticism, was not necessarily song choice, not necessarily how long the film was, but kind of using the music more fluently, cutting to the music more, cutting back to it, and allowing us to get back into like the rhythm of it, and then just maybe using a second song.
So I have a couple critiques. If you're done, Jared.
I'm done. Go for it, Jay.
So
wow.
This shot right here.
You actually cared about me finishing my sentence this time.
Yeah.
That's good.
This shot right here, not a nice looking shot. Needs to be lit better or something. It just looks bad. And it could be not your fault, but I'm just saying, I don't know, maybe not include it or something. These shots right here, like, I felt like throughout the film, the white balance was bouncing all over the place. It would go from like blue to orange. And I just felt like it needed more of like a consistent white balance theory throughout the film. Like, what is white? What is black? Like, I don't mind if people make decisions on that. Like, I'm going to be bluer or warmer or whatever choice they want to make. But, you create the universe, stay within the universe. And I felt like it was kind of bouncing all around. And you could see, I think what's happening is, like, the light is, see on that lady in the back's hair, it's really bright, right? And you can even see it on the groom's back.
Yep.
And that looks really nice on his skin. But then when you start getting around the room, it's really, really orange and not nice looking.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening with this film is that, that I just crashed it. I think what's happening right there is that the film, or the white balance that he likes on his light, was not the room, and maybe he should have warmed that light up a little and then readjusted his camera. And I see that. And then the other thing I was going to point out is kind of similar to what you said with song, which is when you're using a really fast-paced song, like this and doing these hype edits, when you want to do a lot of speeches, which clearly you do, Brandon, my opinion is you should do a lot more of the instrumental version. Because there's that singing and all this, it's kind of chaotic to your ears. And so the way you can edit over a pipe, like a hot piping song like this, that's like kind of driving you, is to kind of do the instrumental version. Or maybe loop a verse or things like that I think would have made it a little easier. Like when the dad particular was talking and he said something like, that's what love is when the world stops. I'm like, oh, dude, you should cut the song right there. When the world stops, over a pause. Bam, hit the next part, right? But it's like, not like just having just go wah, the whole time, just all the people talking, everything going. Use the instrumental version, and I think it would give you I think it would have given it a little more punch. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I agree. Just back to your lighting situation, Jay, what you're talking about there and the shot that's currently up, frozen. Yeah, we do a lot of tent weddings just like this in New England. I think it is a challenge because you have those super ambient, like orange kind of key lights in a space like that just causes this orange cast.
They are not nice.
And they're tough. Sometimes they're LEDs and they flicker and they're the worst ever. And then, you have your lights that are probably naturally, 5,600, but you can, run them up or run them down temperature wise and just maybe matching them a little bit more. I don't know if I necessarily want like an identical match.
No.
But if you do that, the closer you get them, the easier it is for you to do like a white balance shift within camera and make it seem a little less noticeable in post. So
where is this film? Sorry. All right, here we go. So
is this the first film that we're talking about?
Yes. So let's go back to that one.
Cool.
Great job, Brandon, by the way. You're a great filmmaker. You know what you're doing, so you did a great job.
I've been locked out of Facebook since February, to the chagrin of Jason, because now he has to man all the Facebook stuff for Wedding Film School.
Just start a new account.
I'm happy. I'm a happier person, I think, in general. But I should start a new account like the ghost of Jared. But I miss seeing Brendan argue with everyone.
He's toned it down a lot.
Oh, has he? Oh,
unfortunately.
Oh man, it was so entertaining. It was.
Yeah, I liked it too.
One of my favorite things about being online, actually.
the stuff of legend.
Yeah.
Hey, before we move on to the next film, go ahead and hit like on this. It helps us a lot. Hit like, let people know that you like the film, and let this YouTube's know that you like the film and all that stuff. Go ahead and hit like. That helps us a lot. So what's our next film? We're going back in time.
Okay, so is this the first film?
Yes.
Is this a Solus Films?
Yes.
Okay. As a reminder, this film was $2,200. The highlight that we're about to watch, they also delivered a 45-minute linear edit. This is their 10th wedding, so kind of beginner territory here. Been doing it as a side gig.
And if you're in the chat still, let us know. And also let us make sure that we have the right film now, please. Yep. Thank you.
Shot on A7S IIIs and a couple on the iPhone 12. So we want to pick out that iPhone 12 with the phone gimbal. They shot it with an assistant as well. And finally purchased an Aperture 60X. So this is going to be fun.
Yes. Okay, let's do it.
Done. My love, my everything, my baby daddy, now my husband. Today's the day.
Hey, Jared.
What's up, Jay?
Would you put your phone on a phone gimbal drone?
Maybe.
Huh.
A phone gimbal drone?
Like, gimbal that's on the bottom of a drone. Would you trust a drone with your phone?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, man, I probably would too. That's psycho though, right?
I think so. I mean, those things are pretty accurate. Do you see that they're dropping bombs from drones like that we have in Ukraine right now? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a lot of control. You could drop, like, I saw one bomb drop. I mean, I should probably be talking about this on YouTube. They're going to.
Yeah, you're about to get us flagged.
But it fell right in the tank hole, which is like this big. So accuracy, I believe.
But they're not going to drop your phone.
I know, but like if you can drop a falling explosion,
you could probably hold on to your phone.
Probably hold
Is
on
that
to your phone. Is my point.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, I don't know. I think I would do it. Like, they're pretty nice cameras now.
And the company pays for my phone. So if
true,
it breaks, then
true.
The day I've been waiting for 6 years. I finally get to marry you.
Weapon Film School.
That would be Jared's dream.
I'm not gonna make it through this.
I wonder if that's the phone.
Dear my love, today is our wedding day and all the planning has come down to this. The last 6 years have been the best years of my life. I will never change a thing. Your love can illuminate a room.
That looks pretty great if that's a phone.
Your smile can stop any man in their tracks. Your blessing that God has brought to me that still leaves me wondering how I got so lucky. You're kind and loving and selfless. You're a light in the dark and a breath of fresh air in my lungs. You've given me everything and more through you just being you. And it's through this that I truly know God has blessed me.
I knew from the very start that you were gonna be my husband one day. And it's finally here. You are such a good, perfect, faith-filled man, and I couldn't ask for anything more in my husband. I love how much you love me and always put me first. You make me feel safe, protected, and secure.
That would be a Jared pet peeve, having a dirty mirror. That would drive you nuts, Jared.
Yeah.
I think that's like a lot of like good filmmaking though in weddings is
can't
like,
wait for you to become my husband.
do you notice
I'm most
details?
excited to watch
You know,
you
I think
become
that's
my
it takes experience,
My
but
heart
it
is so
is I
happy
think a big part of the job.
full.
Her nails are out of
You're the
control,
best
by the
match
way.
and mix of me and
Chevron pattern.
I can't wait to see how he looks up to you.
The focus on this shot is driving me nuts, Jared.
Follows your footsteps. You're gonna be the best role model for him.
I love you always, and I can't wait to marry you and see you become an amazing mother.
I love you always, forever, and all the days. I can't wait to see you on the altar waiting for me.
So I wanted to get through that and then have a quick little mini conversation about including things in wedding films. And so, because I was watching this film, Jared, and I was thinking, like, it's hard for me to get past how long that first look vows was.
Yeah.
And like, and obviously, like, we can go and well, it's for the couple, it's not for you, you know. And I get that, like, and I think that's really the conversation, which is like, okay, where is that line for you, Jared, when you're making a film or you're shooting, thinking about wedding filmmaking in general, and something is just straight up boring, not super well done. Like the couple, they weren't excellent at reading. You could tell they're uncomfortable, and obviously it'll be meaningful to them. But in terms of the film, I'm watching it, and it is dragging the film down with how long it is. Like, and so I think there's two schools of thoughts here, right, Jared? Like, one is like you trim it, cut it down. The other one is you include it all because it means something to the couple. You know, is there something I'm missing here? Like, tell me, like, what's your feeling on like kind of that challenge I think that every wedding filmmaker kind of finds himself in when it comes to giving couples their weddings?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And it's a hard balance to nail. And I think you're totally right. Like, I watched the film and they've been talking the whole time and I don't remember a single thing that they said.
It's 2 minutes and 40 seconds in and we haven't even got to the ceremony yet.
Right. You know, I think it comes back to a little bit of like character development. Like, in order for me to care about this super serious thing, and this is just me as an observer, so this is the observer side. For me to care about the things that they're actually saying, I have to be connected with them in some way. And when we just kind of like hop right in and it's like, okay, these people are saying these super serious things to each other that people aren't used to like hearing this kind of stuff. It's like super serious. Like, you are the one for the rest of my life, and I just want to live with you. And it's just like, I don't know. It's not how normal people talk Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday. Like, it's a really serious commitment. So if you want me to care about kind of what they're saying for this long, there has to be some humanity in there of like, I can't, we did a film just a couple weeks ago that we launched, and it was like the best things that we got was the human nature of like the bride got her letter and she was like, is this it? Like, that's funny, and it makes me like the bride. So understanding timing, understanding like to get me into the part, and then I could actually play some parts of maybe them reading the letters to each other and have people actually be like, oh, this is interesting. But then cutting it, finding a way like, okay, this is actually interesting. I'm not going to include the whole thing, or if I am going to include the whole thing, if that's really important to the bride, maybe I'm selling it as a separate edit. Okay,
I'm trying to think of what I would do, Jared, if I was filming it. And first of all, I take a lot of part in the pre-prep for like anytime there's vow readings.
Yeah.
I'm like explaining to them like, hey, this is a great way. Like, this is me with a lot of experience, 10 years of experience. So on your 10th wedding film, I don't think you did anything wrong. We're just talking philosophically, right? And something like this, I probably would have talked to the couple and been like, this is not going to sound very natural or very good. How can we make it the most comfortable for them so that they come across very naturally?
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't, I would be like, maybe only include a couple parts from it.
Yeah.
That's just me. That's probably how I would have handled it. I would have tried to get ahead of it and try to put them in a better situation, which I don't know what it would have been necessarily, but try to make them as comfortable as possible. And if I didn't feel like it sounded natural, because I think what it is people are not used to being this melodramatic.
Right. That's totally it.
It's just not who they are.
Because that's why when people are reading their vows, they're like, sound just super like
robots.
monotone. Like, you are the best person ever, and I cannot wait to see you today. And you're like,
it's not how they talk.
No,
it's
just
like.
weird. It's just weird. People don't actually talk to each other that way.
Yeah.
And it's actually super intimidating when you're putting a camera in their face to be able to read this thing that they're not comfortable doing, right?
Yeah. I think it really comes down to like, as you get more experienced as a filmmaker, you will start to say the priority will be communicating authenticity over words that people say on their wedding day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I look at, and I go, these are just words that they're saying on their wedding day. It doesn't come across as authentic to me. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have included it.
Yeah.
Because they might have demanded it, really wanted it. I don't know. I'm just we're just waxing poetic a little bit.
On that part too, though, I think beginners and this person is 10 films in, so I would say still beginner level. You assume, and you would rather be safe, right? You'd rather be safe, and like, I don't want them to come back to me and say like,
where are my vows?
Where are all my vows? I was expecting 5 minutes of vows. Like, I think beginners are really scared of that. And I would say, as a beginner, make an artistic choice, make a creative choice. Like, hey, I'm only going to include this because this was the only good part. Like, you only want to watch a little bit of this, so just include like a small portion of it that makes sense to fit the film. And then if they come back, they're like, we're expecting more. How easy is it for you to just cut together
like the whole
private vows for these people? And if maybe you could charge for it, we would probably charge for it. Oh, that's a separate edit. Like, we do that separate. But also, how long does it take for you to just give it to them for free? Like, I thought this was
a 2-cam multicam.
I thought this was good for the actual highlight film, and it actually speaks to the highlight film better to use less of it, and just it made it more punchy. But here's a separate edit. I want you to have all of it separately, and then they're happy. They got something extra.
Well, it actually
you got what you wanted. Yeah.
It actually works against the real goal of the film sometimes, which is showing people who they really are.
Yeah.
When you just have too much of something that's not authentic for them. So that's just my opinion. So moving on.
Yep.
Also, we're just going to skip the every person walking down. Good emotion, though. Good emotion.
We're gathered here for a joyful day to celebrate the holy matrimony between Donnie and Megan.
That's a really simple thing, but that right there, as you get more experience, you're not going to include He goes, we are gathered here. You know, like, it seems like nothing, but really good wedding filmmaking is like cutting out every all the dead pregnant pauses. Like, we are gathered here, blah, blah, blah. Like, just cover that with some B-roll. Like, his back's turned. He could have said anything.
Yeah.
You know, that little, you save 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, 5 seconds here, and the film just picks up the pace in a really dramatic way. That's a really good example of where you can shave some time off.
Special blessing that you guys found each other. It wasn't luck. It was,
and then that's not
I think even greater than that. It was God's hand. He put you two together, and He will get you through whatever you will have to get through in the future.
Nice little on
I vow to be the
to
best
the
man I
beat
can be to
hand
you
drop
always.
down.
I vow to love you through the good and the bad. I vow to always provide and give you everything I can. I vow to let you buy whatever you want from Ulta and Sephora,
Yes.
as long as I can
Good vow.
buy whatever I want from Roger Dunn.
Okay,
I
bye.
vow to put my phone on low volume when Real Housewives is on. But most importantly,
This
I
guy
vow
knows
be
how
the
to
man
give a vow,
your
Jared.
father would want me to be.
I promise to be the best wife for you. I promise to honor you, cherish you, and love you unconditionally all the days for the rest of our lives. I promise to support you and learn from you as we navigate through life together. I love you.
I love you.
It is now my honor to now present for the first time Mr. and Mrs. Celestio. You may kiss the bride.
I was like, oh, what are they? Oh, no, wrong hand. Like, this is a good example. Like, you can see how this couple actually acts. Like, that should come across sooner in the film.
Yeah.
I worked at the YMCA growing up in high school. Ryan was at the YMCA who Megan babysat, so Megan would periodically pick up Ryan from school. I'd say hi to her, you know, we'd have little chats. And then Donnie and I would always, we're tough guys, right, going to the gym every day. And Donnie and I would go, and Danny and Megan would always work out together. I'd always say hi to them, and he'd always be like, dude, she's so hot. Like, God. She would never talk to me though, right? Look at us 6 years later, sitting here on this beautiful night with a beautiful boy on the way.
Donnie came up to me one time, and I'll never forget the day he walked up to me and said,
Oh.
Danny, you know, your friend Megan, she's
going
really
on here?
beautiful. Not what Weston was saying about her being hot and stuff. He's like, your friend is so beautiful, you gotta hook me up with her. Get me together with her, get me to go out on a date with her. I walked up to Megan, I said, hey, Megan.
Oh, this
guy Donnie
feels so weird with headphones on.
Looking. And so what do? We stalked every single one of his social media pages. And so Weston and I must have been Cupid and like shot them both in the ass, because after that, they were both inseparable from that moment.
Nice little edit. That's fun. I don't like that effect over it, but I like the idea of the GoPro dance floor. That's fun. All right, Jared. So we kind of got a little bit distracted there, but what did you like about the film? What did they do well?
Yeah, I would say it seems like they are leaning into what they feel comfortable with. Like, you'd see certain shots that is like very intentional, and then certain shots that probably felt like they just kind of happened, and you know, they were just reacting more so. So there were a few shots in there that I really liked. I was like, okay, they're really using their lenses the way that they want to in these shots. Some of the couple portraits there. But then other shots, it felt a little bit, you know, I think it was a good setup. You know, at the very beginning, it does feel a little bit like, okay, I know where we are. getting a sense of place. I'm getting a sense of, where we are, setting, which is good. I always like that at the beginning of a film. And then, I what you had mentioned a little bit, like I get a sense of who they are, but also just I wish I would have seen more of their personality, not to get critical in the part where I'm supposed to be complimenting them.
Well, you can just say nothing if you don't like the film. Just say, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot.
I like that.
I think
that
it's solid, cool. And I think it's well worth $2,000.
I think I would say really, like, Jared knows in terms of our own company, like, what I always say is, like, we're not making a perfume commercial. We're doing event coverage, right? So get the event, capture everything. Like, if it's not the most amazing thing in the world, that's okay. This is an event.
Right.
And, in my opinion, they did an excellent job, almost over-covering it. Like, you could tell they were in their spots. They were ready to go. And I think that is not a small thing.
Yep.
I think they tried some sophisticated shots, and some of them more successfully than others. But I think their instincts for what was cool looking, and they were trying to do a lot, trying to get every cool shot, really flying all over the place. And I think that's going to serve them really well as a filmmaker. Yep. They included a lot of, like, the narrative. I found it a little boring, but I also think it was very comprehensive, and it made a lot of sense.
Yep.
It
well
was
thought out. Nothing felt like jittery, which a lot of times when you start filmmaking, it's like you're kind of all over the place.
This is a very excellent film for 10
definitely.
wedding films in. Like, this is a professional wedding film. So
Yep,
I want you to know that. So that being said, there's a lot of things I think you can improve on. And so I'll go first this time, Jared.
Sure.
First of all, like, in terms of composition, like, this drove me up a wall, Jared. Mm-hmm. The composition during this first look, like, it just was so unintentional. Like, this is way too close to the other shot in terms of, like,
yeah, totally.
And then, like, they're just weirdly not in the middle of the screen or anything. And then her shot is totally off axis.
Yep.
Like, and both of them seem to not be in focus, or there's some resolution problem or something. Like, I think white balance throughout the film is all over the place.
Yep.
Like, you gotta, like, really focus on, and I'll give you the quick tip is, like, literally look at the white thing in the scene when you're shooting it, and if the shirt is blue, change it.
Yep.
And I'm particularly sensitive to blue shadows on sunny days. I don't mind seeing a little bit of a warm highlight in the background if the dress looks white.
Mm.
You know, I don't like a blue dress. I never want to see a blue dress or a blue tuxedo shirt or something. It just bothers me, and it sticks out because it's like the opposite of the feeling you want of a nice warm wedding. You want to feel warm, and you don't want to feel cold. And then I think in terms of, like, editing, a couple things that I thought. First of all, like we said, the pacing was just too slow. I don't know what they paid for, I guess, so I can't speak towards, like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But I would say
they said a 5-minute film.
Yeah. So if they paid for a 5-minute film, this film would have been so much better 5 minutes long. It was 7.5.
Okay, right.
And it just was like the pacing was just dragging because you're having to use that same looping song over and over again. And then there were parts in the edit where I was like this is a good example right here. This guy is talking, but you have 3 shots of him talking, I think 4 in a row of him saying other stuff.
Yeah.
Over the same guy talking. Really confusing to the viewer, right? They're like, oh, why is his words not matching up? Oh, they're still not matching up. And then it's like, oh, that's him talking.
Yeah.
So I'd say don't do that. Like, if someone's talking, cut to other B-roll. Like, you really never want to use B-roll of someone saying something else over something that they're actually, if it's the person talking. I don't even really want to see someone talking in a microphone over someone else talking because it's just confusing to the viewer who's watching it. So, that's the things I think you could do better.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge starting out, trying to match your shots, matching color, especially, I think we could probably tell most of the shots that were filmed on an iPhone because they just look a little bit more flat. It's harder to get a really kind of crispy,
Jared,
depth of field image. Yo.
I did think of one thing that has to do with what you're saying that I meant to say.
Okay, go.
The overlays. I think the overlays are like 720 overlays.
Okay.
Over a 4K film. So if you got to make sure when you're using like overlays, like film grain, which are too much of them in the film, by the way, but like any effect you use in the film, make sure it matches the resolution of your film or it will become pixelated.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think over time, I don't want to harp too much on it because it's just a matter of like buying gear that makes your shots look like they match each other, which will come as you do more films and invest more, into your gear. I think you'll naturally have more of a, cohesive film that the color matches everything. But yeah, I would say that's one thing that I noticed right off the bat. It's like, they just look so different shot to shot. Sometimes color, just your depth of field, everything.
Even the resolution felt weird. Like sometimes it looked like it was pixelated.
I would say one thing that I would probably say like next steps for you in terms of, what you should really be working on is the coverage side of your ceremony, toast, dances. I see it a lot in the wedding industry is this like leaning on gimbal work because the gimbal you can move wherever and it's just like, hey, whatever event happens, I could just run over there and get it as it's happening. I don't want to say it's lazy, but it's kind of lazy in that you're not thinking through your process. Like you're not anticipating. I always tell our filmmakers, like most of wedding videography is just anticipating what is going to happen. And that means good communication. That means understanding the logistics of the day, looking at, what's happening when, etc.
Where is the photographer going to stand when we start?
Photographer going to stand? A lot of this stuff. And so having your shots in the right spot before those things happen is probably something to consider and be thinking about, which is very difficult.
Well, even look at this frame, Jared. You can see the filmmaker, and I can see their batteries charging.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and ideally.
And the key light from the window is not being used.
Right. And this has been a real sticking point for our team this year. Is just like we are trying to, raise our fundamentals. This is just fundamentals, guys. And so when you're in like the 5 to 10 film range, these are the things you should be harping on. It isn't the sexy thing like a portrait session. Like these are great. These are things you can work on, of course. But I think everyone tends to lean towards like, oh, I need to get better at like shooting a portrait session. It's like, no, you need your fundamentals right now. And you just have to be like, wide shot, my 2 tight shots, this is going to get this is going to get this. My assistant, in this case, is going to make sure that this is filming. This is exactly the shot I want them to get. I'm telling them ahead of time, communicating that with them. So just having a really good game plan on what your coverage looks like of the events gives you a good base to work on everything else. So I would say working on those things is probably something that I would, highly recommend. Otherwise, you're just getting gimbal stuff. Like this is all gimbal stuff, which can work for the intros because you're moving. And then a lot of times you're going right into the first dance. But I would say gimbal shots as people are walking into the reception, then they're walking into your environment of like, hey, I have my wide shot ready for them. I have my tight shots ready for them. And you're just kind of, off to the races as soon as they start.
But even like Jared, like first thing I noticed when I saw the shot is speakers and high chair.
Totally.
Like,
Not a very good shot.
It's like, I'm not totally, I would have punched in. I would have done anything to hide that speaker.
Yeah. And that's probably 16 to 24 millimeter lens on a gimbal like equivalent. It's probably on the iPhone, so who knows what it is. But I think actually that one might not be the iPhone. That one looks a little bit crisper. But yeah, I think punching in a little bit. It's one of my qualms with wide shots. It just shows too much, and it just kind of always looks like a
exit
shot.
sign and all that is like. I would just say this, simple. Kind of what Jared was saying is, next time you edit a film, shoot a film too. Like, try not to shoot unflattering things to the best of your ability. Exit sign isn't like all your shots. Like, try to notice things like that. Don't include them, and then also really, really, really try to not include them in your edit.
Yeah,
that's easy. You can do that. I think you have a lot of the chops and a lot of the fundamentals down. That I think a lot of people and like when you get footage, you know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe like don't include unflattering things and things that maybe don't look the best and they don't add to the film either.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Anyway, like that's a great shot right there. That cake was nice.
Yeah.
It looked nice. Like more of that. Give me more of that. And so hey, we're as honest as we could be with this, guys, and we want filmmakers to not feel discouraged. And so I wanted to say this. You're a good filmmaker, and you're going to keep making better and better films. So I want to see the next one. I want to see that next film because I know that you're going to be continuing to make better and better stuff. And Ray Roman's here, by the way, giving you knowledge, which is pretty cool for you. It's like, so like, I think as you keep doing this stuff, some of this stuff will just become self-evident to you. So, and you might even be like, yeah, I know, I shouldn't have done that. And which, like, we totally get that too. So
It's a learning process, man. It's hard. Doing wedding films is so hard, guys. It really is. Like, I do a lot of photography. Probably what I do 50% of the time is photography. And I can tell you, as a photographer, it is so much easier to cover all these things as a photographer because I can move my feet. With video, you have to anticipate so much, and then you're stuck. If you make a bad decision, you're stuck there because you can't move because you're still recording. So you're like, well, better luck next time. And, you know, it's hard. So,
yeah, I mean, I talk to our team a lot, and like, we have a team of wedding filmmakers that work with us. Jared and I also shoot weddings, and what I'll do sometimes is I'll take my footage versus their footage, and I'm like, do you see how long I have had my camera rolling versus when you started your camera rolling? Do you see how long my audio has been rolling? Do you see how much sooner my tripods were set up? Do you see how much many more shots I got in 30 minutes than you got? Yeah. Like, that is really what experience is like, I am doing a live event. Here's how much time I actually stinking have. I don't have that much time. You don't have much time. You need to like start to like almost like you become one with the pacing of the day, and it no longer bowls you. I always say it's like when like if you ever play a sport, there comes a time where you become good at the fundamentals, like you were saying, and you no longer are thinking about the fundamentals. You're thinking about hitting a home run in the batter's box. Yep. You're not thinking, do I need to take my step? Keep my arm, like golfing, or like you don't think about your swing, you just swing. Yep. And I think that's the goal, guys, is like get those fundamentals down so that you can just hit a home run. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we're hopefully able to help you do. Yep. And Shaliz, you did a great job. Keep making wedding films.
Yep. Definitely. Really good film.
It's totally worth the money. Yep. It's a professional wedding film. I want you to hear that from a professional to tell you, you are a professional. You're one of us. Keep doing it. Be confident. Just because it can be better doesn't mean it's not good. It was good.
Yep.
So hopefully you guys had a good time today. How do you have fun, Jared?
I always have fun, man. I love this. This is the best. It's a break from the grind, and yeah, it's always good hanging out with the WFS fam. So, guys, if you want to submit your films, I was going to mention this because a lot of times we'll get this mad rush on Thursday morning of people submitting their films. Make sure you're doing it at least on Wednesday, Jay. Wednesday is probably like, what you want to say, cutoff day for films?
I got to do a little pre-production and get this show running. So definitely, if I'm not really looking at them at 11 a.m.
Jay has already captured the films by Thursday morning to be able to play. And the reason why we do that, we can't just pull it up on Vimeo or YouTube or whatever. It has to actually be captured so we can have it in super high quality to be able to play back for you guys. So have it by Wednesday night, because Thursday we get all these submissions and, you know, it's just too late by then because Jay's already done the pre-production for the show. So Wednesday, make sure you're submitting, and you can do that through the link. We'll share it again here. Yeah, get those films in. We do take the people's films who are a member of WFS, our YouTube channel. You can join. It's $5 a month. We do prioritize their films first and foremost. So if you definitely want to have your film, if you've been trying to get your film on over and over and over again, I promise we don't hate you. It's just a matter of trying to get a lot of people's films in. Yeah, having a lot of demand and only 3 spots a week. So
I also wanted to point out, guys, we have a podcast YouTube channel. We also have just a normal podcast if you just like to listen. 5 minutes, Conley and his best, 5 minutes. But we have a podcast. If you head over to the Wedding Film School show, our YouTube channel, you can watch our podcast. If you don't like watching it, you can listen anywhere podcasts are found. But we try.
Or if you just don't like listening, just, you know, don't listen.
Or if you hate knowledge and information.
Hate Jason.
I will say, like, we have a bit of a different spin. There's a lot of other great wedding podcasts out there. Ours is, I think, business oriented in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if you want to grow a business, Jared and I shoot a lot of weddings. Our wedding film company, we've done 200 wedding films this year. We've been doing this for 12 years. We have a certain perspective. We're up in the Northeast. And so if that sounds interesting to you, check out our show. We try to have good guests on. I'm going to get Ray Roman on someday. Ray, if you're interested, you can come on the show. But we have cool guests and cool stuff, and I think like it's just a different type of conversation in the wedding filmmaking world. That's kind of what we want to do, Jared. Like different. What can we do that's a little different than's being brought to the table and all that stuff? So definitely check it out, guys. Thank you so much for coming today. Hopefully you had a good time. See you next week at the Wedding Film School live show.
Deuces.